So our last tellers are going to do a tandem story, and they should know each other well enough to do this. The first one I'd like to introduce is Cindy Berryman-Fink. She's been telling stories for much of her adult life. She was a professor in college for 31 years, and she taught communications. And as a mother, she made up bedtime stories for her two sons. And since she moved to Western North Carolina in 2008, she was encouraged by her husband, Chuck, and she has told personal stories at various venues and in their podcast. And her husband, Chuck, who I have been co-producing storytelling events with for about the last 2.5 years, didn't start storytelling until he was 64. So just 2 years ago, something like that. He's appeared in numerous storytelling shows with personal stories filled with angst, drama, and a healthy dose of humor. And he's really proud of his legacy of having formed 22 men's groups that he's created for aging and retired men. He retired from a career as an organizational consultant, and he did weave stories into his classes in consulting. He is president of the Asheville Storytelling Circle this year, a member of the Storytelling Network, the North Carolina Storytelling Guild, and we are so happy to have Chuck and Cindy here to tell us some great story tonight. Thank you.
Now I'm old. There we go. This is why I'm no longer doing this, because it takes technical skill. There we go. Cindy and I met in January of 1979 at a British-style pub in Cincinnati called the Blind Lemon. Now, I was from Cincinnati, and Cindy had just moved to Cincinnati from Massachusetts to teach at the university. And I looked over and I thought, in her native tongue, wow, she's a wicked cute Yankee. And we started dating and fell in love.
And so Chuck and I were different in very many ways. Not only was he the Midwesterner and I was the New Englander, but we had very different views about being outside. I love being outdoors. I was outside in every season for any reason. All my free time was spent outside. When I met him, I had cross-country skis, I had a bicycle, I had rollerblades, and I just loved being outside.
And I had an apartment. In the wintertime, it had heat, there was a cozy couch, a television. Why the hell would I want to go outside? And then in the summertime, it had all that, plus air conditioning. And not to mention, MASH reruns came on every day at 3 o'clock.
So, from the time we met, I was on a mission. My mission was to get Chuck to enjoy being outside. I wanted him to enjoy nature as much as I did. I wanted him to be outside in nature with me.
Her mission was to try to kill me.
No, I was just trying to get him off the couch. Now, we married, and our first vacation was to Sanibel Island, Florida.
Sanibel Island, it was beautiful. Along the beach, there were seashells everywhere, and it was just lovely. So we swam and walked every day along this beautiful beach.
Then we noticed that at Sanibel there was a wonderful paved bike trail that went along shore. So I said, why don't we rent bikes? And we did that, and we were having a wonderful time bicycling along this trail, looking at the ocean waves, watching the seagulls, and having a lot of fun.
Fun? Then all of a sudden, boom! Her bike hits me, I fall over, and I just look at her and say, are you trying to kill me?
And I I sheepishly said, "No, I'm just trying to bicycle closer to you because I love you."
Yeah, those are the words I hear just before I feel like I'm gonna die. Well, I was trying to be more outdoorsy, so I became a cub master for our older son's cub pack. And one day, another father came up to me and said, "How would you like to take your son and go with me and my son for an adventuresome camping trip to the Boundary Waters?" The Boundary Waters were on the border of Minnesota and Canada. And I thought, what a great bonding experience this would be. Well, we camped on the Canadian side, which meant sleeping bags, tents, you had to dig your own latrine, and you had to eat the terrible freeze-dried food. Ah! But it was a great bonding experience, and it was absolutely beautiful.
So the next year, I said to Chuck, "Why don't we take a family vacation to the Boundary Waters?" It would be Chuck and me and our sons, Drew and Greg, and Drew was about 11 and Greg was about 6. And he said, "Okay, we can go back to the Boundary Waters." So I found us a cabin along shore, and we arranged for rental canoes, and we drove 14 hours to get there. And we were having a great time. Every day we'd take the canoes out and canoe around, looking at the beautiful scenery. We saw eagles, we saw loons. We packed picnic lunches, so we go ashore and have a nice picnic lunch. And then at night, we would enjoy our cozy cabin.
Yeah, but it was our last day, and we decided to go canoeing along the shoreline. And then a gale force wind came up. And I was with little Greg, who was really skinny and small. And Cindy was with Drew, and she was in the front canoe, and they were kind of struggling, and Greg and I were going around in circles. So we both decided it's time to go back to the shoreline.
But that was not easy. I mean, we had a terrible wind and storm coming against us. So we're trying to paddle as best we can to get to shore, and we're looking around the shore for any sign of civilization, because this was very remote. And we were exhausted. We're really working hard trying to get to shore. And finally we see a little cottage along shore. So we go to shore and we drag the canoes up, and we walk to the cottage and we knock on the door. And we say to the people, "Please, please, can you call our outfitters who need to come and rescue us?"
Oh, we were rescued, but I am convinced what Cindy had planned was to have our 2 sons and her rescued and leave me to die, because she's trying to kill me.
Then another adventure was, I think we were in our mid-40s or so, when our sons decided they wanted to take up skiing. Now at this point, Drew was an 8th grader and Greg was a 3rd grader, and we said, "Yeah, we can learn to ski." So the boys and I took ski lessons.
I don't need no stinking ski lessons.
And one day we're skiing as a family, and the boys are up on the Black Diamond slopes, the really challenging slopes, and I'm skiing at the intermediate slopes, really enjoying skiing. And Chuck, because he refused to take ski lessons, is down on the bunny slope. So the boys come hurriedly skiing to me, saying, Mom, we have to go to Dad. Dad's in trouble." So we ski down to the bunny slope, which is practically flat. It's not even a slope. And he's in trouble. He is bleeding in the snow. That pristine white snow is covered in a trail of blood. So I say, "Chuck, what happened?" He says, "I poked myself in the head with a ski pole."
It seemed perfectly reasonable. If you want to find an injured skier that's down, follow the trail of blood. Plus, she knew that I had vertigo and balance issues. So the fact that she wanted to even put me on these toothpicks on ice proved that she was trying to kill me.
I just wanted to get him off that couch and enjoy the winter season.
Well, we also took another vacation, but this time it was down in the Caribbean to Grand Cayman. And we had snorkeled, but to me that was really just scratching the surface. I wanted to dive deeper. So at the resort they had scuba lessons, resort scuba lessons. What that means, if you've not done that, is they put on all the equipment, they put on the regulator, they put on the mask, they put on the fins, and they put on weights. And then they throw you at the deep end of the pool. If you survive that, you passed. But they gave you 2 very serious warnings. Never, ever panic, and never pull out your regulator.
So we went out on a boat with a couple of local guys and another couple, and I wanted no part of scuba diving. I can't even swim. So I'm sitting on the back of the boat, enjoying the sunshine, looking at the waves, drinking rum drinks. And I am watching the spot that Chuck had jumped in behind the boat, laden down with his scuba gear. And all of a sudden I see this turbulent water, this volcano of bubbles. And I say, oh my God, I think he's in trouble. So I yell to the guys in the boat, help him, help my husband, save him.
And then one big crewman dove into the water. He went down without any equipment. He ripped off my weights and gently and slowly brought me up and brought me to the shore. Now, I do have vertigo. I do have balance issues. And I guess I'm also a little panicky because I panicked and I pulled out the regulator. But this time, I don't think Cindy was trying to kill me. But I would have been there had I not gotten off the couch.
Now, if I had wanted to kill you, I would have ignored that commotion, I would have poured myself another rum drink, and I would have let you sink to the bottom of the Caribbean.
She is trying to kill me.
And then let's see, about 10 years or so ago, we decided to go to the 5 national parks in southern Utah. And one of the parks we went to was Zion National Park. Maybe some of you have been there, beautiful park. And we decided to take a hike. So the hike we picked was the Virgin River hike. But we didn't realize that it was in the Virgin River. You're walking in the river. And it's hard, you're walking through water. And we did not have hiking boots, we just had gym shoes. We didn't have hiking poles. And we're schlepping through the river, and at times, the water is up to your thighs, it's up to your waist. At one point, it was up to my shoulders.
I think I forgot to mention, I had balance issues. But I took that backpack, put it on my head, and took step by step, and we started our hike down the Virgin River.
And so we're wading through this difficult water, and I see a sign that says, beware of flash floods. So I ask, what's that about? And we're told, don't ever hike in the river if it's going to rain or if it starts raining, because the river will flood so fast you will drown.
Well, with that, Cindy decided, because I am the husband, she decided that we would turn around and go back. So again, the backpack with all of our belongings is over our head, my head, and I carefully, step by step, inch by inch, go back. And then when we get near where we actually started the hike, Cindy said, oh, that was wonderful. That was such a good time. And I got so excited that I decided I'm going to head back to the shore. And I did. And I fell. The backpack got wet. I got saturated. And then I felt like I was going to catch a death of cold, which proves Cindy's trying to kill me. Well, then I guess it was 2020, it was our 40th anniversary. Yeah, she's put up with me for 40 years.
Trying to kill him for 40 years.
That's much better put, and more accurate too. But Cindy is a wonderful travel planner. So we were going to go back to the same spot that we had our honeymoon in Maine, and maybe go over to Nova Scotia, or as they would say, Nova Scotia. But something got in the way. Something stopped us from fulfilling our plans. COVID-19. So we had to punt. Now, as I said, Cindy's a great travel planner, and she found a place just over the North Carolina border in Georgia on the Tallulah River.
And it was lovely. It was very remote, so we were safe from COVID. We had a lovely cabin right on the Tallulah River. We're enjoying our time there. And then Chuck says one day, "Do you want to go horseback riding?" I said, "Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun." So we arranged to go horseback riding. And we get there, and it's horseback riding in the Tallulah River. We're on the horses, and the water is up to the horses' bellies.
Well, the riding group consisted of 10 women and me. So the horse I got was Old Zippy. Now, Old Zippy must have been a feminist, because Old Zippy was taking me in and out of the river, brushing up against bushes and scratching on trees. I had to hold on for dear life, going left to right, just to try to survive Old Tipsy.
Zippy.
Oh, Zippy, Tipsy, I gotta tell you, I felt like I had a few to drink, so Tipsy, it was Tipsy to me. But I managed to get out and find a little bit of peace, because I survived, but then I realized this was a conspiracy between a horse and Cindy in order to try to kill me.
You were the one that said, "Let's go horseback riding." Then, let's see, a few years ago, my childhood friend, originally from New England, but now in San Diego, came to visit us here, my friend Rochelle. And she had never been to this region before, and we wanted to show her the natural beauty of Western North Carolina. So we planned a day trip to DuPont State Forest. Maybe you know DuPont, wonderful hiking trails, beautiful waterfalls. And we packed a picnic lunch. We were going to have lunch along the shores of Lake Julia. So we had a lovely morning, and then it becomes lunchtime. Rochelle and I climb down a little bit to get to the shores of Lake Julia. We lay out the picnic food, and we say to Chuck, "Come on down."
Again, they forgot about the vertigo and the balance issues, but I realized that. I said, no, I'm fine up here. But they try to coax me, and then finally, Rochelle sneers, "If you don't come down here, you're a real wussy," or words to that effect. Well, my manhood was at stake, so I took a step over a rock.
And he climbs down over a couple of rocks to get to shore, and his foot catches on the last rock. And he goes into the lake, feet first. Goes down, his head bounces up. He goes down again, his head bounces up again. I mean, it really was funny to watch. And Rochelle and I are laughing our heads off.
Real funny, huh? If I had submerged or gone down one more time, I would have drowned. But this time it wasn't a horse and Cindy, it was Rochelle and Cindy in a conspiracy. They tried to kill me.
Then, there was the time, shortly after we moved here in 2008, we had to see lawyers because we had drawn up wills in Ohio, but for some reason they weren't valid in North Carolina, so you had to draw up new wills. So we arranged to see a lawyer, and we're at the lawyer's office, and he's drawing up the will, and Chuck says, "She's trying to kill me." The lawyer stops. He looks at Chuck. He looks at me. He starts furiously writing something down. And I think, oh my God, why did Chuck say that? If he dies in a skiing accident or a scuba accident or a horseback riding accident or any other accident, that lawyer is going to come and arrest me for involuntary manslaughter.
Involuntary, it would have been murder. The best insurance policy I could come up with was to tell the lawyer, "She's trying to kill me."
Now, why would I want to kill you? I love you.
And I love